morning guys, welcome to the channel. I'm going to dismantle these front swivel hubs for a complete rebuild. You're going to need a lot of patience for this. These bolts are going to be stubborn. I've soaked them in penetrating fluid overnight and they're still an absolute nightmare. I've taken the drum off already because that can take an age itself if the adjusters and the cylinders are seized. But the friction material came straight off the pads with the drum, so it was actually quite easy. But this is why you should always replace brakes on vehicles. Nowadays it's a bit silly with the new laws. Anything over 40-year-old doesn't have to have an MOT, so you can drag it out of a hedge bottom and drive it. But that's what you're running on. Yeah, no good. So yeah, I'll get cracked on. I apologise for the engine fitting video. Some of you might have got an overwhelmingly cracking view. I apologise for my arse cleavage hanging out. There's not a lot I can do about it. I keep pulling my jumper down and my t-shirt down. Because I'm so tall, it's hard to get really long t-shirts that actually cover your arse cleavage when you're straining. You're going to experience some skin loss doing these. It's pretty much inevitable. It's easier to get the bolts out down the back there with the shock absorber out of the way as well. So yeah, I'll move the camera around so you can see a bit better, and I'll crack on. Right, so I've got the truck on axle stands. I've already stripped the other side off. That's been blasted and painted, ready to go on. If you're buying a complete swivel seal kit or a rebuild kit, they don't come with the axle oil seal or the stub axle oil seal, so you need to buy them separate. Yeah, apart from that, it's pretty much brute force and ignorance. Another thing to know is, do not cheap out on these nuts and bolts. These, there's 24 altogether, 12 on each axle, 6 on each end. If you think about it, these hold the whole axle assembly, the whole hub assembly onto the axle. 6 bolts. That's all that is between you and imminent death. So don't cheap out on them. Don't buy them off eBay. I spent some time on the phone to Bearmac yesterday, and they don't stock these bolts, but yet there's somebody, or quite a few people on eBay selling them, saying they're Bearmac. Bearmac don't sell them, so how can they have them? It's imperative that is the safety of you, your passengers, other road users. All hangs, the whole weight of the vehicle hangs on 24 bolts. So yeah, don't cheap out. Right, that's enough of the boring health and safety stuff. Get my tub underneath to catch any oil. See if I can get you around so you can see a bit better. Right, split pin. Need to get that out. I keep trying to keep the videos down to like less than half an hour, but I keep failing with that. Try and get that, just different pliers, try and get that straight as I can to get it through there. Yeah, I know I can drone on a bit, so and it's silly things like this can take the bloody time. Yeah, if you're going to get them axle bolts, you need to get the proper ones. Find a bolt specialist locally. They'll have some to do the job, and that's what I'd normally use. But obviously, because of COVID, their trade counters shut. Well, they're only doing the big customers at the minute. All these little guys are just having to suffer. Right, This shouldn't be mega tight. There we go. Now watch out, because there is a big washer behind there as well, so don't want to drop it in your oil. Always keep a tub underneath just to catch any oil that drops out, or any grease or anything, depending on what's in there. Yeah, don't lose that in your oil tub. Right, this should be, oh, what size have I got on these? 15. I think that socket's stuck. Oh, it's just jammed up with rust. Fairly straightforward thing, but you just, like I said, you just need to make sure you're a bit methodical with impact guns. Make a big difference. The same as before, don't throw anything away until you've completely rebuilt it, so you've always got a reference. Nice. Well, it's a mixture. These, obviously the oil seals are leaking because it's dripping oil out, but if you see, it's had grease in there, so yeah, there shouldn't be oil in there, so the oil seals have failed. Get my where's the locking tab bit? Rags are handy. I forgot again, Anna. I did this the other day. Right, have you got to get some rubber gloves on? Back in a second. Right, I've just checked up when I was in the garage as well. The part number for this oil seal, the axle tube oil seal, is 27. Oh, just bear with me, I forgot. I just looked at it. Oh dear. Right, it's 217400. That's how bad my memory is. Alright, got a screwdriver. Get your locking tabs on. The big screwdriver. Just use a screwdriver on these just because it's easy. I've got a drawer full of old screwdrivers that are just purely for this purpose, really. Right, taking this hub off. It's not too dissimilar from doing the rear. The bearings are the same, so actual fitting, removing and replacing the bearings is exactly the same as the rears. That tool makes things so easy, and they're less than a tenner. Yeah, I'll cut this down into 2 videos. I'll do the strip down and then the rebuild. Yeah, and you don't get that oil seal in there either. So yeah, that's a must. Right, let's get these off. Still connected to there, so before you do, we get these snippers. I should cut that brake line. before you try and take the back plate off, make sure you cut this brake line, and then you've got nothing holding it to that then. That's not... that last bolt should... That's it, that's that off. That's use the rubber hammer. This will just pop out of there, so you end up with that, and that's separate. You don't get that seal either. So while you've got it apart, it makes sense to replace all the lot. So you don't get that seal, you don't get the seal on the hub, and you don't get the seal on the axle with a complete rebuild kit. Right, you can take your shaft out and inspect that. It's a long one. That actually looks fairly new. There's a bit of surface rust on it, but the U-joint actually looks new, which is a bonus. There's no play in it or anything like that. The splines all look good on first inspection. No signs of wear. Yeah, happy with that. I'll give it a proper look over later, but yeah, so far so good. Right, this is where things start getting hard, because you've got all these 11mm bolts, screws around there that hold the retaining ring on for the oil seal. So I'll move you around a bit so you might be able to see a bit better. So what I'll do, I've loosened some of these up on the swivel wall. So I'll get all these undone, get these off. There's just a ring of them go all the way around. So fairly self-explanatory. I'll get them off and then I'll come back to you. It might take half an hour just to undo these. If I can get... Right guys, that's them off. That's extremely knackered seal's gone. Oh well, it's off, unbolted. Get that out of the way. So now you're left with you just need to undo these top bolts on here, top nuts. Try and clean off as much as I can. I can't remember off the top of my head exact size there. What size is that? That's an 18mm. Let's try that one, see how that works. Oh, surprisingly well. Right. That went easy. That was well, went well. Everything in a pile. You get this top bit in the kit. My kit, I don't know if I mentioned it. The kit was from Maltese Off-Road. Well, that went well, didn't it? Cheap ass screwdriver. That's all I use this screwdriver for, to be honest. I'm surprised it's lasted this long. Yeah, they can be little buggers to get out. Yeah, little bugger's an understatement. What was that? it's Spanish dropped somewhere. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, look at all that rust in there. Yeah, that's seen better days. And there you go. That's it, your bearing in there that just pops off. So it's got a mixture of grease and oil in there, so the oil seals has obviously failed. It's also got water ingress, as it's all, so that seal's failed, and it's all got rusty. But that will live to fight another day. I'll shot blast that, paint it. Now your biggest headache's going to be these. These are an absolute pain in the arse. These 6 around there. This is where you get your skin loss. But you persevere, they'll come out. In worst case scenario, you can just cut them off. If you're going to cut them off on the swivel ball side if you are replacing the swivel ball. If you're just replacing the oil seal, I'd cut them off on that side, because you don't want to do it. Yeah, I suppose if you're just replacing the oil seal, actually, it doesn't really matter that much. But if you cut them off on this side, if you're replacing the swivel ball and you damage that, it don't matter, because that's going anyway. That goes with the ball. So yeah, these are a mixture of whatever spanner seems to fit, because they're quite corroded. So I'm using a mixture of 15mm and the only 5/8 I've got, unfortunately, is a little dumpy one. I don't know what. I don't know where the other one's gone. Me big one, but yeah, you just literally go around. Right, this is going to take forever, so yeah, I'll skip and see if I can find the finger to press the button with. Yeah, I'll skip forward, get this off, and show you what's what. Right, what you should end up with after all that knuckle busting and skin loss, the blood loss that you're going to suffer, is a pile of rusty, horrible looking parts that you want to try and make look like that. So the best thing I've found is to shot blast it, clean it up. I'll go over it with the wire brush or the wire wheel quick, just to get any debris off it that I don't want mixing in the blaster. And yeah, I'll blast it and paint it. So that'll be the next video. Possibly rebuilding it. I'll blast it, paint it, rebuild it. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'll just go over again. You don't get the oil seal on the end of the axle tube. You don't get the oil seal in the end of there. You don't get the oil seal in there, and you don't get that bearing in the swivel ball with your complete swivel ball kit. That bearing in there, to be fair, I've never come across one that needed that bearing, not one that's just been used for road use. I've seen off-roaders, proper mud pluggers, that have basically filled the swivel ball up with mud and killed the bearing. But you can, if you can press it out, you can reuse that bearing, check it for play. That's perfect. The other side was perfect in that one as well. So yeah, all that does is keep your half shaft in the centre of the axle tube, so there's no massive pressures on it. You've not got the full weight of the vehicle sitting on it or anything like that. All you've got is a shaft in the middle spinning round, so they don't tend to wear. Yeah, what else was I going to say? Yeah, replacing the bearings in your hub. Don't be tempted to leave the inner race in there and just sit your fresh bearing in. If you've got a bearing from a different manufacturer, the taper inside it could be different. So I mean, a couple of degrees is all it'll take to knacker a bearing in 1,000 miles or less, you know what I mean? So when people say, oh yeah, I've had new bearings done, it's collapsed straight away. First thing, did you change that? Second thing, did you grease it properly in the first place? Even if you're using Britpart bearings, just cheap Britpart bearings, you should still get a few years out of a properly fitted bearing. Which brings me to the next video I'm going to do. I might record it in a minute. I've seen a lot of people on social media. I don't normally bother with it, but I've seen a lot of people on social media getting real stick for using Britpart stuff, to the point where they've left groups and forums and stuff because they can't deal with it. So yeah, I'll do a video on that soon. Right, yeah, as always, thanks for watching. I hope that's helped some people out how to strip it down. The next video I'll be putting, well, one of the next videos will be putting it back together again. And like, subscribe, do all the usual YouTubey stuff, and see you again soon.